Rushika's. Yep. Perfect. All right. So we are the search experience team from this year's HCIM capstone class here at UMD. My name is Josh Hockman. On the call with me, we've got Urvi, Rushika, and Chinonso. And Rahul is probably going to be joining us in a couple of minutes. So currently we are working on developing the search experience for a platform that hosts training content. And through interviews with industry experts, our goal is to gain some more insight that'll help us to better understand how we can design an effective search experience for a digital product. So
Got it.
our goal thus far has been to understand how CEOs like yourself approach employee training strategies and content discovery.
Hmm.
But also given that, from what we could tell from our research, given that your platform appears to help customers with organizing manufacturing related digital content, we'd also like to ask you some questions about the use of your product as well. Um,
Sounds good.
so we estimated this will probably take about 45 minutes or so. And your insights will be really crucial in helping to shape our design process to meet the business needs that are in front of us. There's no right or wrong answers to any of these questions. We really are just kind of looking to understand your perspectives on things.
Okay.
All right. So kind of starting off at the top here, we kind of wanted to go through a little bit of a kind of a company overview and kind of your relationship with training platforms. So, as the CEO of One Factory, can you tell us a little bit about how you view the role of ongoing training and skill development as part of your organization's overall strategy?
Yes, it's a good question. We are an unusual company in many ways. We're a small company, and we are intentionally small. So we focus on hiring just the most talented people and making sure that we have the right people in the right roles. So we don't hire, unlike many larger companies, we're not churning through employees trying to find the right fit. We're spending a lot of time on the screening, on the hiring process, making sure we actually have hired the right people. Roles in our company are kind of broadly broken up into two categories. One category is a very creative kind of role. It's a pure engineering, problem solving kind of role. And the second category of kind of roles is a set of customer facing roles. And these customer facing roles, they require to be able to do this role in our company, or this set of roles in our company, you must have very deep experience as somebody who's worked in manufacturing, as somebody who's actually lived the same set of problems our customer has lived. So you have to be able to immediately understand the problems they're articulating and be able to provide solutions, explain to them how our solution would help uh, solve their problems, right? So we have two sets of roles again. So one is creative on the engineering side, the other is customer facing. So on the engineering side, we're hiring very high end engineers. We're hiring people with like dual master's degrees or maybe a PhD in physics. That's the kind of person who's coming into our team. And because we're solving kind of an unusual set of problems, largely a set of problems that haven't been solved before, we're looking for somebody to be like a quick learner. There really isn't much training we can provide outside of making sure that this person understands our customer's environment and is able to understand what problems they're trying to solve once we present those problems to them. Right. So there's a little bit of training there, but there really isn't much training that we can provide. We need somebody who's very highly educated, has a deep set of skills when they join us. For the customer facing role, on the other hand, we provide a lot of training. We of course want people the with the skills, right, or rather with the experience, not the skills, but the experience in manufacturing. And then we spend time working with them on how do you do a demo? How do you tease out customer requirements, right? How do you present pricing to a customer? How do you work through ROI with a customer, right? Those are the kinds of things we spend time on with our customer facing team. And that's to answer your question, I think in our company, that's where we spend the most amount of time training is on our customer facing roles, making sure that our team is equipped to present our solution, to understand the customer's problems, to help find fit, right? Then work through pricing, work through return on investment, and make sure we bring the customer, you know, to the right decision. And sometimes the decision may be that our product is not a fit. Other times the decision is that our product is a good fit for them. But that's what we train people on. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Do you have any kind of like training platforms that you use for like industry standard things like harassment training or proper internet use or anything like that?
We have a limited set of, we use products like Gusto that provide, payroll services, but also provide a limited set of uh, training related features, especially for things like, harassment training or some other compliance training. Then outside of that, we need to use uh, some other systems to go through like security training, things of that kind, the basic training you'd need if you were working in any company. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not all in one platform. It's typically across many different platforms, depending on the content on which you're training people.
I'm not
But
super familiar with Gusto, but what kind of
Gusto,
factors? I'm sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. No, please go ahead. Yeah,
I
finish
was
your
going to
question.
ask, what kind of factors influenced your decision to kind of pick and
Hmm.
invest in that particular platform?
So I think so Gusto is primarily a payroll system. So it's a payroll system designed for young startup companies. I think under 100 employees. So it's that particular system very easy to use, very easy to get started with. Almost a no-brainer for most startups. You can look them up. It's called Gusto, Gusto. Uh, Very good solution. And then over the years, they've been layering on um, other capabilities, HR and so on. I'm not even sure if the actual training management is done through them or through a third-party add-on, but for us, it comes through them. But that's for the compliance training. For things like security training, again, like I said, we have to go to yet another system for that.
How effective would you say these platforms are as far as keeping your business in compliance or fostering the types of skills that you want to get out of them for your employees?
I think they're all kind of okay from a checking the box kind of perspective. But for the real training that we do for our team, unfortunately, there is no substitute to a lot of human interaction in the training. We we'll train our customer facing team members, right? We'll show them how to do a demo. We'll have them sit through demos. Then they'll do their first demo. We'll sit with them in their demo. We'll support them. And it takes a little while. It takes a couple of weeks before somebody is good at doing a demo. And there is, for the kind of work we do, again, which maybe is very specialized, it's not something we can easily automate or abstract away with a platform. So for us, yeah, these tools are kind of marginally helpful, just to check the box to make sure that the harassment training is complete and the security training is complete. But otherwise, don't really see them adding much value.
Okay. Um, so these next couple of questions, these are kind of like specific to the case of like um, searching for training content within a training platform. So it may be a little less applicable to you, but maybe thinking in terms of kind of some of those systems you mentioned.
Mhm.
So um, when you envision either yourself or someone in your company, um, looking up training content, how do
Hmm.
you think you would prefer to see it like categorized or tagged? So like, would you want results coming up in a training search to be like by business function or organized by leadership level or strategic objectives?
So definitely by business function first. Uh, so let's back up a little bit. So when we bring a new employee onto our team, right? So we go through some basic training, and this is the compliance training you were talking about earlier. So the basic stuff we go through is, hey, here's some basics about security in the modern age, right? Here's what internet security is. Here's how you avoid getting phished. Those kinds of things. So there's some basic training that every employee has to do, including the harassment training and so on. We want people to get through that first layer of training, and that's just onboarding, right? That's every employee who's coming on board has to do that. Doesn't matter if you're a VP of engineering or you're a sales rep. Everybody has to do that. Okay. Uh, and then beyond that, of course, all other training is categorized by business function for sure.
Okay. Um, if you were to be like searching for training content in one of these platforms, kind of like what would be like your top priorities for what you're looking for in the results you get? Are you focused on finding stuff that's like high quality material? Are you looking for stuff that's um, the training is a certain length or something more focused on compliance?
I think it would depend on what my role is in the organization, right? If I am the end user, all I care about is, hey, what training applies to me, and have I done it all within the required time window? But if I'm the team manager or the team leader, I want to know, of course, whether I have done everything I need to do, but also whether my team or my team members have done everything they need to do, right?
Yep.
Um, so that's how. So to me, if I'm looking for, unless I'm looking up, training content, which is probably not an everyday use case. These are the two use cases that we see, which is make sure you can find everything that you need to do, right? And you should know immediately whether you've done it or not. And the second is if I'm the manager, hey, has everybody who's working for me finished their work or not? Have they finished the required training or not?
Yep. Yep. That makes a lot of sense. Um, so this next question, still kind of in the same vein, but this is probably something we'll talk about a little more specific to your product as well. But um, when you are, and this I guess could be generalized to just training content or searches in general. When you're viewing search results, what information would you say is like the most crucial for you to see at a glance to quickly assess whether the results you got were relevant to what you were looking for? So maybe it could be like content length, content type, whether it's a certification or not, etc.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what kind of audience you have this product targeted at, uh, but I don't know if content length actually matters as much. So, give you an example. Um, for our own product, we present to our customers training material, right? We give them a new user guide, right? And then the new user guide is available as either like a 30-minute long video, or it's available as 10 short, roughly 3-minute videos, right? Um, and yeah, when you look for this new user guide, we make sure it's very prominent and it's immediately available. Once you log into the app, it's immediately available if you need it. And that's the only time I've seen people kind of look at content length, right? But I think what's more important is matching up what the person is searching for. So, for example, I want to do a very specific task within the One Factory system. So that's my search term. I shouldn't get back, hundreds of matches. I should get back, kind of a restricted set or limited set of matches that kind of match my intent with that search, right? And then the secondary piece of information is, hey, how long is this content? And then I can decide whether I want to do it now, I want to do it later. But I think the primary match needs to always be based on what is my intent, what am I looking for, and why am I looking for it?
How important would you say personalization is in how that search experience is designed? Like, would you want it to look the same or similar for people that are in different user roles and get like a consistently good search result, or would you want it to that search experience to be different depending on um, the person's role, the specific industry, the company size, different things like that?
Yeah, I think so. Our philosophy as we build our product is that we definitely make sure that what you see is relevant to your role. And but that's not only applicable to search, it's just the way the entire app is set up. So you're never overloaded by information. Uh, the most of our customers, they have many divisions within the company, many departments within each division, different functional teams, right? You want to make sure that each person, whatever team you work in, so if you're in manufacturing, you don't want to be seeing results from HR, for example, or from finance, maybe completely irrelevant to the work you do. So we put a lot of time and effort into making sure that the what you see throughout the app is, if you want to call it, personalized or customized down to your role. Yes, I think that's the right way to do things.
Okay. Um, so kind of thus far, we were kind of trying to focus more on like the side of um like training content, but now we wanted to kind of get a little into more specifics on like the One Factory platform
Mhm.
um and how it gets used.
Okay.
Um, so I guess just a little background. I'm an industrial engineer, so I've been working in manufacturing plants using probably some of these kinds of systems.
Okay.
Um, so on your website, you talk about how the system is used for managing all different sorts of content, things like drawings, rev control information, FMEAs, SCARs, inspection plans, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, can you tell us a little bit about how, kind of at a high level, your system is set up to handle these different like object types? Do they all kind of live in one big repository that all gets searched from like one place, or is it kind of broken into separate subsystems by different data types?
Okay. Yeah, so good question. So just to back up for everybody else's benefit on the call, so at One Factory, we build software for what we call feature level or parameter level quality control. So if you go to Starbucks, you buy a cup of coffee. That cup that your coffee shows up in, that cup is defined by a number of parameters, right? There's the height of the cup, the thickness of the paper, the plastic coating on the inside, the radius of the lip, the diameter at the top to make sure the lid seals correctly, and so on. Those are parameters, right? And each of those parameters needs to get verified at some point in the manufacturing process. And it gets verified using a very wide range of equipment. Like the plastic coating is verified differently from the radius of the lip, for example. And this equipment, every factory uses kind of their own uh, has their own choice and setup of equipment. What we do is we help our customers go from the product specification sheet or the drawing to what's called a control plan. In the control plan, you define what you're going to measure. I'm going to measure that radius, that thickness of the plastic coating, and so on. So you define what you're going to measure, how you're going to measure each parameter, right? Where in the manufacturing process you'll measure it, and what your sampling rules are. Like, will you check every little cup you make, or every hundredth, or every thousandth? So that's a control plan that tells you how you're going to check your quality or control your quality. And then we help these manufacturers actually collect data from the manufacturing floor. So we are reading the data from all the different types of inspection equipment, comparing it to the plan and saying, yeah, things are looking good, or nope, things are not good. Some stuff is either drifting out of control or is actually not not conforming to your or doesn't meet your specifications already. Right. So that's what we do at a very high level. We help manufacturers kind of collect this data, analyze this data. We do this within the factory and across the supply chain. In other words, you can do this with your suppliers so you can see how their manufacturing process is running. And then in the event of a problem, we help you report the non-conformance, work on the corrective action, right? We help you do analytics. And so you can look at trends over time. What are your most common failure modes? Why do they occur? And so on. And then there are tens of supporting business processes that we help with. So for example, we make sure that all your equipment is calibrated for use, right? All your measuring equipment. We help with a set of business processes around new product introduction called PPAP, right? So we have all of that built into the system. So yes, so how is the data structured? So data is structured by primarily by each of these key elements. So you have things called plans, you have things called inspections, you have things called non-conformances, you have things called calibration records. So these are all different objects within the system. Now, as far as search goes, you can search, of course, within any object, but there are often threads, right, that link things together. So we enable searches both ways. We help you search within, say, plans or within inspections, but oftentimes there is a need to search across objects, and we understand those linkages, what they should be. And we help our customers do the search across objects also if they need to. Right? But we try not to do, here's a blanket, search here for everything in the system. That's usually never good because that returns like, tens of thousands of work orders and inspection records and things of that kind. So we want to make sure that we help the customer solve the problem they're trying to solve, not just return everything in the database, because that doesn't help either.
Right. So like kind of as an example, let's say I'm a manufacturing customer and I make like 300 different SKUs in my factory.
Yeah.
And I want to look up like an inspection plan or an FAI or something tied to a specific part number. Would I, when I first open up one factory, if I have my part number, would I be like first going into like a module that says inspection plans before going into a text search, or am I going to start on like a text search?
You would typically, so again, depends on what problem you want to solve, right? So if you're doing analytics and you want to go across modules to solve specific problems, you can go into a into a search box where you're going to look for some data. Let's say, simplest example, I pick up a serial number of a part, right? Now I want to know a lot about this serial number. And so we have that capability that runs across objects because it might show up in a non-conformance, it might show up in an inspection record, it might show up in different places. Okay, but if you have, if you're simply looking for, hey, show me how the control plan for this part has evolved over time. What were we doing 3 years ago? What were we doing last year? What are we doing today? Then you'd go to plans and then use the search box to find what you need. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing you have the ability, like if you have one particular object, whether it's a part number or something, some other object type, that lets you like see all of the associated objects to that particular item.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, one of the things we're trying to figure out as we design this learning platform is like how we would want the search to be organized, whether we should be giving options for text search and filters, or whether we should be going directly into just giving them like different buttons to choose from for different options to narrow it down first. So um, kind of in terms of your platform, we're kind of interested in why you set your platform up the way you did and kind of what things you found worked and what didn't.
That's a broad question, So the way we work is we work with our customers to define a very clear problem statement. Most companies we find surprisingly don't do that, and it takes a while. It seems like a very simple task, but defining the problem statement is usually the hardest thing. And once we have a very clearly defined problem statement, then we work to build a solution that will work not just for that one customer, but will work across um, across at least a subset of our customers or the customers that we want to target. Right. So that's how we operate. So that's how we build every feature. We build the product is built in layers. We do roughly about 1,000 engineering changes or improvements to the product each year. And that's basically the number of unique problems we're solving each year. So we're solving a few, at least small problems every day, making a few enhancements every day to the product. That's how we operate. In terms of like why it's set up the way it is, it's all set up around how we think work should optimally flow, right? If you like the company history is something like this. I used to run a manufacturing plant in the semiconductor capital equipment industry. We made large machines. Each machine had something like 50,000 parts coming from about 600 suppliers. And what I found was that all of my suppliers and my own team, everyone was doing quality control in spreadsheets and on paper and so on. Right? And if you were a quality control engineer, you needed 5 or 6 different systems to get your work done, plus Excel spreadsheets. Right? No one had studied, hey, this is the work this person has to do on a daily basis. Has to first create a control plan, and has to use that control plan to verify that the initial set of products they're making are good, right? And then has to use that once it gets past that initial set of products and they are verified as good, then he has to use that plan for his ongoing production to make sure that what he's making every day, every week, every month is good, right? And all of this, believe it or not, was done in different systems. There was a system for quality planning. There's a system for statistical process control. There's a separate system for reporting your non-conformance. So if it takes you 7 different systems to get your job done, right, you're not a very happy employee. You're not a very productive employee, right? And worse, a lot of things are actually not getting done. Things are, falling between the cracks of these systems, right? Things that you should be focused on, you can never get to. Like you can never get to actually making process improvements because you can't even finish the daily stuff to get through compliance, right? So that's been our approach. Our approach has been, hey, what is the full set of problems this person needs to solve? How do we stitch together a solution that makes it seamless for this person? Right? And that's why we have the reviews we have. That's why we have the customers we have. But it takes a lot of time again to define that problem statement. Like we get requests every day that say something like, "Hey, can I add 2 columns, or can you add 2 columns to this screen for me?" And we'll be like, "Yeah, we can always add more columns, but how about we talk about what problem you're trying to solve?" And then when you start to talk about the problem they actually want to solve, you can come up with a solution that's very different from the one they were envisioning. Right? So the dark art here is the art of actually articulating clearly what exactly is the problem you want to solve. And once you have that, then the system design follows. So in your case, again, it's going to come down to who's going to be using this product, right? There's people. So if you think about who's going to be using a training management system, there's the people that will set up the training content. That's one set of users. There's the people that will actually get trained on it, right? It's another set of users. There's the people that want to manage and make sure that their teams are trained, that's another set of users. And so the search context is very different based on whether you're someone creating the content, whether you're someone consuming the content, or someone who's managing the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as you think about this product and what it's going to do, and I recognize that you're focused on a subset of this product, which is, I think, the search functionality. This would be my recommendation, is to think about who are the end users and how do you then work backwards from what are they doing every day to what questions could they have, and what should your search do for them, to then what are the buttons, the filters, all of that. That's how you come about it.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I know exactly what you're talking about with the dealing with multiple systems. I think every plant that I've worked in had one system for non-conformances, one for production data. I don't think I've ever worked somewhere that had the production data and all of the quality documents in the same system.
Right. And so let's just take that as a simple example, right? So 19 years ago, I walked into a factory that I was to run, and I found to my horror that people are not reporting non-conformances because it took too long to open up SAP, log in, navigate to some random screens, and fill out all this junk. And we're like, wow, this is insane, because guess what? You have all the data here, right here in a different system. And if only you could press a button and it would fill out the non-conformance for you. So guess what we did? That's exactly what we did, because we already have the measurement data. We already know what's failed. All you do in our system is you press a button and it writes the non-conformance for you. Right? Anyway.
Very cool. So that actually concludes all of the questions that we had planned out in our script for the interview, but I'd like to invite everybody else on the call, if you have any follow-up questions you'd like to ask, to please come off mute.
All good.
I think I'm good. Yeah.
Same. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Nice to meet everybody else on the call also.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your insights. This is going to be really helpful for us, kind of thinking about your perspectives as we figure out how to design this search process to meet needs of folks like yourself. Do you have any questions for us before we wrap the call?
No. I hope it was helpful. Let me know if you have other questions and if I can help in any other way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you.
All right. You have a great
Bye-bye.
evening.
Thank you.
Bye.